towards a new scientific paradigm.
Yes, well, that's what I'm really going to be talking about. And of course, Memory of Water, Jacques' work, hopefully will be a part of it. Um, but it's something I've been working on generally for many years. In fact, in the 1970s, I was discussing with late Michael Conrad. Um, well, it was really Kepler's book, The Tao of Physics, on the relationship between quantum theory and uh, well, mysticism. And over years, I've been developing it, and now, well, you hear how it's going. Um, uh, well, first of all, the current paradigm is based on quantum mechanics, and I feel that's very bad. Um, just want to check you can hear me.
Yes,
Yeah.
very well, very
Okay.
well.
Good. Um, right. Well, one main problem I think is that it's focused on non-living systems. Other issues. I think it is limited by having linear dynamics. That's the Schrödinger equation, and physicists don't seem to like the collapse process associated with observation, but that is actually of crucial importance. So there are these various preconceptions, and uh, this is a restricted view of nature. What happens is you have this cycle. Once you have a theory, you, well, okay, the experiments that you're doing lead to theories, but the theories then limit the experiments you can do because you have to sort of uh, represent the experiment in terms of what the theory allows. So that gives you a restricted view of nature. Um, you can't really fit biological systems very well into the theory because the descriptions you use for biological systems can't really fit in with physicist descriptions. So there's that fundamental problem. I thought I'd look up theory of everything, and I found a nice article by Natalie Wolchover. I'll just read out the point. This web of laws creates, it's in the middle of a description, creates traps for physicists. Suppose you're a researcher seeking to understand the universe more deeply, you may get stuck using a dead-end description, just what I was saying, clinging to a principle that seems correct but is merely one of nature's disguises. It is for this reason that Paul Dirac, a British pioneer of quantum theory, stressed the importance of reformulating existing theories. It's by finding new ways of describing known phenomena that you can escape the trap of provisional or limited belief. So that's really just what I've been thinking, expressed very nicely. If you search for a different kind of theory of everything, you should get the full article. Okay, well, one of the things we found in uh, discussions with Michael Conrad and this paper with Michael and Dipankar Home was that you could make these connections, as I was saying, between quantum theory and biology. For example, quantum physics has particle types, biology has types of signal or form. Particularly, there's the collapse of the state vector, which you can relate to a decision process. So there are all these parallels. So that would lead you to suggest that you might look into biology to get an extended theory, which is just what I've been doing. The things I've been looking at are really not known to physicists, and well, very few physicists, and not known to many biologists either. So I'm just going to give a sort of brief summary of what I've got up to, and during questions, people can ask more. Okay, well, one thing is what biologists do. They're not so much concerned with calculating things, but asking what is going on. So you do your experiments, and you you see things happening and you produce descriptions which work. You invent concepts like immune system, DNA, genetic code. So you have a whole different kind of description, and so we might hope that one would be able to look deeper in the same way, deeper in the quantum level. Well, two of the main things, there's a line of research not known to many biologists really, but biosemiosis, which is about signs. It's developed from the sign theory of Peirce, very ancient idea. And essentially signs have meaning. They're, the thing that's not in physics is that there's a process which interprets signs and uses signs. So this is something special which can be used to understand some things about biology. The second thing is the concept of coordination. There's something called coordination dynamics, which is about how systems work together in synergies. And quite a bit of work has been done there, mainly by Scott Kelso. Okay, now do I have more on this slide? Yes. So conjecture is that these principles that biologists have discovered may apply more generally. In this way, just as in the article I mentioned, we may be able to escape the constraints of conventional physics. Okay, now one other thing which is maybe not very well known is what I call signs at work. Okay, what is cymatics? Well, that has an ancient history. It is evolves from studies by Michael Faraday, actually. And nowadays there's something called a cymoscope, developed by John Stuart Reid. And this enables you, well, okay, cymatics is about the effect on water of applying vibrations to it. The cymoscope is a way of looking precisely at it using special kind of illumination and cameras. What I hope to show you in a minute is what happens if you play the Moonlight Sonata to water and look at the reflection. So I'll play a little bit of this. Okay, well that's pretty amazing, and you can't deny this phenomenon. It's not like paranormal where you say, my experiment doesn't show anything, people can't do telepathy. This is simply applying sound to water using a special apparatus. It shakes the water and it responds in this way. This leads you to think that vibrations, special vibrations, by the way, you need special vibrations, things happen in different ways according to frequency. What happens if you apply a simple harmonic signal to water is, first of all, you get chaotic behavior, and if you're lucky, it'll settle down to an organized shape. You can do it with sine waves rather than music. So this suggests anyway that there may be interesting physics associated with signs, which I'll come to in a moment. Okay. So the idea is anyway, temporal patterns may be able to do amazing things. And of course, language itself is an amazing thing. I've done some studies on that, how that works. Computer simulations showing that there are lots of expert systems involved in processing language. Okay, so the idea would be everything depends on the interplay of temporal and other patterns, including what we see in physics. That would be what we would aim for, an understanding of this using the various theories we've got. And a number of things, I'll show a diagram in a moment of how these things interact. But one thing is thought, maybe in language or some kind of symbols. Oh, I might mention, by the way, one of the things coming out of the cymatics, they look at the sound waves when dolphins are doing echolocating. Now that's a big jump from physics, but that's led me to suggest that dolphins are using a visual language. They're seeing how sound you get reflected from something acts as a kind of code for showing something. Okay, well anyway, ideas have to be in some kind of code because ideas have to mean something. So code systems are involved, and once you've got your insights in a code, then you have a sphere of activity, and all these things co-evolve. And this is, for example, what observation is really about. You observe and then you get a new insight, and the physical process may in some cases be the collapse of your linear vibrating system, introducing non-linearity. And one point I haven't got in the slides, but coordination may be the process which produces larger amplitude vibrations, and these may produce non-linearity. Okay, now I'm going to sketch all of this. I'm showing how all the things fit together. If my pointer works, yes. Okay, first point is that thoughts relate to activity, and also speech relates to activity via a code system. A code system is essential for your ideas actually to be applicable. The code system, however, I have a two-way arrow here. Code systems develop through activity and expressing activity. Another point is that we go from activity to some more complicated spheres of activity. This is because your various activities can work together, and coordination dynamics discusses that. And a multitude of spheres of activity there. Restricted spheres of activity, and these can work together to produce a hierarchy. And Scott Kessler reminded me that there's heterarchy as well as hierarchy. I didn't put that in the slide, but again, this has been investigated how various kinds of activity fit together. So basically, there's a whole slew of concepts which physicists can now work on those instead of string theory and the like. On the other hand, it's a two-way process actually, because I can see that physicists' ideas are working towards the ideas in biology, but they ought to start from biology and not from quantum mechanics. Okay, I'm actually near the end, but one important point related to the thing I've been talking about and connecting with physics is that these spheres of activity I talked about, if I go back here, coordinated activity is leading to spheres of activity. And what's happening here is that local order, things happening, sort of individual things are now interacting and producing global order. This is something very familiar to physicists, of course. Crystal structures, for example, or magnets, these come about because local order is turning into global order. So this, I think, is something, again, is a part of the picture. So anyway, a new paradigm I'm proposing. I should actually, but if you go to my home page, you'll see a link, videos and audios, where I have other lectures, some of which go into more detail. Anyway, as Stuart pointed out, starting from new concepts makes for a new paradigm, and I've been mentioning lots of the concepts that physicists, that biologists have come up with. So, as I say, there should be lots of things for physicists to be working on instead of the thing that's absorbing most of the funding at the moment, in energy physics. Let me just mention things. Well, of course, memory of water. Jacques Van Venust talked of a biological signal, which is one part of this, but now the idea is that it's fundamental. It is actually shown by these cymatics experiments. Indeed, Reid believes that there may be a memory phenomenon, that things order arrives faster if it's happened before, but he wants to do more experiments to confirm that. Paranormal, of course, involves coordination. Also, the controversial thing, intelligent design. There's no argument against intelligent design. People just say, well, it might not be necessary, but it may very well be a real phenomenon. So, okay, that's about it. I can go into more detail. These are the main people who have assisted in this. Scott Kelslow is the main person involved in coordination dynamics, and he has a nice book chapter on ResearchGate which summarizes it. Alexa Yardley has been interacting for some time. Her ideas, I have to say, are very hard to follow, because unless you understand what she's on about, you won't understand what she says, but I've gradually been picking up some of his ideas. Okay, so that's a summary of what I've been working on, and I'll close there.